What's going on, college football fans? You are on the Fan Addict Sports Network. I'm Coach I. That's the stat guy. We here to talk some college football like we do all the time. If you're new to the channel, man, hey, go ahead and subscribe, man, and hit that thumbs up button, man, so we can get this content out to more people. We're talking win totals today. Pac-12. We're finishing up the Pac-12, talking win totals. Let's get into it.
The fanatic, where we keep it 100, keep it real. That's the only way we know how to be. Talking that sports talk, you know what I'm saying? Straight out of South Carolina, upstate, A64. Yeah, the FANATTIC, the fanatic, where we keep it OG. We talking sports, so I call what.
All right, stat guy, man. We're gonna finish off this Pac-12, man. How you feeling about the Pac-12 this year, man?
Hey man, I'm just glad that everybody suffered through that first half of the alphabet with the Pac-12. Not a whole lot of winning. Hey, thanks for coming back. Now we're gonna get to some winning football games.
That's right, man. Let's jump into it. Although Stanford's gonna pause that winning for a little while, I'm just gonna give you a heads up. So we got Stanford on dock, man. If you don't know what win totals are, it's what Vegas projects for each team. You get a point for a win, you get a half a point for a toss-up game, and you don't get any points for a loss. Again, we like to tell y'all this is just for entertainment purposes only. We are not any bookies or anything. We do watch a lot of college football, so hey, take it with a grain of salt. Let's get into it. Stanford at Hawaii. I got Stanford with the win, man.
I gave them the win at Hawaii.
All right, then they got to go to Southern Cal. That's a straight up loss.
Loss.
Sacramento State at home, win.
Win.
Arizona at home, win. I actually got that as a half.
I gave them the loss.
Week 5, Oregon at home. I know they've had some success against Oregon, in some recent years, but I got this as a loss.
Loss.
You get a bye week, and then they take on Dion in Boulder. I got this as a half. I think both of these programs are not where they want to be. Let's just say that.
I actually gave Dion the outright win there, so I got it as a loss for Stanford.
All right, then Stanford versus UCLA at home. I got Stanford with a loss here.
Loss.
Washington State at home. I got it as a half.
Loss.
At Washington, loss.
Loss.
At Oregon State, I got this as a half.
Loss.
California at home was you got it. It's rough for Stanford over there with the stat guy. California at home, I got this as a half.
Loss.
And then Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame come rolling into town for the last game. That's just a straight up loss.
Loss.
Wow. I got Stanford at 4.5. What you got?
If you got Stanford at 4.5, you need to put that house on the market today and make a killing. I got Stanford at 2. Vegas is just a little bit better at 3. Vegas says them and Colorado are the same team.
I could see that, man. I could definitely see that. I gave them a half against Washington State because they were at home. If they were on the road, that would have been a loss. And Oregon State, just because, like, hey, at some point, Stanford has to muster up some kind of something, right?
Not this year.
All right, man. Let's move on to UCLA, man. All right, UCLA starting off with Coastal Carolina. I don't know who decided to do that, but I don't think it'll be an easy win. But I do have them at for a win with Coastal at home.
Well, they definitely lucked up. Chadwell gone to Liberty, the quarterback gone, so with Grayson gone as well. So hey, at least they waited for some pieces to leave and they weren't playing prime Coastal. I gave them the win.
Okay, so Grayson decided to graduate, or
I think he transferred, and I don't
I
know
know
if
he was in the portal, but I don't know if he found a home. So if you're in the comments, man, let us know what Grayson McCall does. If you're a Coastal Carolina fan, let us know if Grayson actually is still in the portal or if he decided to return to Coastal. All right, at San Diego State. Yes, at San Diego State. I got UCLA with the win.
Hey, look at them going on the Alabama track of trying to make themselves some extra money to afford some. Hey, you know what? They probably did this because they need the extra money to afford the plane tickets next year when they're flying out to the Midwest to play all the Big Ten schools.
Could be, could be.
And either way, I'm giving them the win.
All right, they got North Carolina Central at home. That's a win.
Win.
They go to Utah. It's gonna be a tough one. I got this as a half.
I actually gave them a loss here.
All right, then they're coming off the bye week, and listen, UCLA's season is going to depend a lot upon what Chip Kelly can do with that five. I want to say he's fringe 5-star, highly elite 4-star quarterback he got in there. Washington State at home, I got this as a half.
Half.
All right, at Oregon State, I got that as a half.
Half.
Just to let you know, I think these four teams are the four of the five bottom feeders: Stanford, Colorado, Arizona, and Arizona State. I think UCLA beats all of them.
I'm right there with you.
And then they got to go to Southern Cal. And this was a heck of a game last year. Neither one of these quarterbacks, Dorian Robinson moving on, but him and Caleb Williams had a major battle last year. I don't see this going a lot different, to be honest with you, just because I think the quarterback will grow up, whoever starts at UCLA. And I got this as a half.
I gave him the half as well. This game is circled on the calendar as must-see TV.
For sure. And then they finish off with California at home, and I got that as a win.
I gave them the win there as well.
What's crazy is I got UCLA at 10 wins. What do you have them at?
I have UCLA at 9 wins.
And what does Vegas say? Am I on point?
You are way over, my friend. Vegas has UCLA at 8.5.
They hating because Chip Kelly got a new quarterback. That's what that is. So they probably, let's see, if I got to give up a game and a half, they probably giving them a loss at USC. That's one game, and then they probably giving them a loss at Utah, maybe,
or a game that you have a win. They might
definitely win. Yeah, I don't see that because my definite wins are Coastal, San Diego State, North Carolina Central, Stanford, Colorado, Arizona State, and California.
Maybe Cal.
Maybe the Cal is a half a game.
Yeah, maybe it's a low key rivalry. I mean, we don't see it, but maybe that's how Vegas. You never know with Vegas.
That's true, man. But that's why we're here to do the win totals, man. So we can go back. You know how people do. They'll get back in the comments, mid-season, say, hey man, how about those win totals for UCLA? All right. So we got the Trojans on deck, man. I think the Trojans, just to say off top, I think they definitely obviously they got the best quarterback in the nation. I think Lincoln Riley is trying to do some things. It's time for Alex Grinch to show us that he can actually coach defense. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear nothing about, we got to get the guys into the system and all that. Listen, man, you've been coaching too long. Can you stop somebody?
Hey, man, just say that you're upset that they stole Bear Alexander from you. It's okay.
Listen, man, I did think Bear Alexander was going to have a breakout year. I still think he's more than likely going to have a breakout year. We'll see what that locker room camaraderie can be about. Moving on. All right, San Jose State, I got that as a win.
Win.
Nevada, win.
Win.
Stanford, win.
Win.
They get an off week and then they go to Arizona State, win.
Win.
At Colorado, win.
Win.
Arizona at home, win.
Win.
Traveling cross country to the Fighting Marcus Freeman's, that's a half.
I actually gave them the half there as well.
All right, and then they're at California, that's a win. I'm sorry, no, one game before that. They play Utah, who has had their number. I'm giving them a half, though, because they do play Utah at home.
I gave them the half there as well.
All right, at California, that's a win.
Win.
Washington at home, this is another one of those contenders. I got this a half.
Half.
By the way, I do think this will feature two of the best quarterbacks in the nation, along with two of the best receiver cores in the nation, with Adunze and the other guy from Washington, along with those slew. Yep, that's right. Along with against the slew of wide receivers that Southern Cal has. Listen, man, the Pac-12 is coming with it with receivers and quarterbacks. If you're a college football fan, you better tune in to the games that come. If you're in the Southeast or don't have the Pac-12 network, make sure you try to find out when you can tune in, where you can tune in, if they're on ABC, ESPN, or Fox or something like that.
Or all right, man. Worst case scenario, be like me and you, stay up till 2 a.m. bound to catch some highlights.
Trying to catch some highlights. That's right, man. All right. So at Oregon, I got that as a half.
I gave him a half.
And then UCLA actually to finish the season off, because they start the season in week 0. But UCLA is week 12, and then they get an off week. Well, that's crazy. So I'll say that here in a minute, but I got that as a half versus UCLA.
I gave him a half as well.
So if they do what they're supposed to do and they end up making the Pac-12 championship, they get a little bit of they actually get a little bit of an advantage because of the starting in week 0. Hey man, kudos to USC's football department for scheduling this way because they get a week off before the Pac-12 championship.
But we've seen in the past, man, like yeah, if they a little banged up, get healthy, especially after that UCLA game. But man, sometimes that week off ain't good. Sometimes it's good just keep the bus rolling.
Yeah, it might be, but like you said, towards injuries or just people just banged up, they're still playing. They finished the season Washington at Oregon, UCLA. That is not an easy task. So they're gonna need. I'm actually projecting that they play one of those teams or Utah and Utah. So their last 5 games is Utah at Cal, Washington at Oregon, UCLA. They're gonna play one of those teams again. They're gonna need the week off.
Yeah, yeah. What do you have?
All right, so I got them at 9.5.
I have them at 9.5. And
What is Vegas?
again, me and you might work there because Vegas is right with us, 9.5.
That's right. I know some SC fans not going to want to hear that, but you got to show us some defense before we give you the 10 plus wins. All right. And just let me say this. In this era of great quarterbacks and offenses, what I mean by defense is you got to be able to stop somebody when like to make a stop in the fourth quarter or a key stop during the game to change the tide. You can't go just going back and forth with teams and hoping to outscore them. That's just not going to win. So that's what I mean by defense. So next up is Utah, another one of those teams, obviously that I have as a contender because Kyle Whittingham has owned the Pac-12 as of late, and until you beat the man, you cannot be the man. Starting out with some revenge, man, against the Florida Gators. Give me a straight up win for Utah. The altitude's too much.
See, you think the altitude's too much. I think they're just pissed off after throwing the game away at Florida last year. And I'm telling you, this could turn into a rout, especially with Florida's quarterback situation.
Yeah, and just quickly, man, shout out to the Utah fans that follow the channel, man. They put us on game last year when we were covering Utah to let us know that was our first year covering Utah. And they let us know Utah starts out kind of slow. I don't think that'll be the case in this particular game. They may wait till the second week against Baylor at Baylor because I got that Baylor game as a half.
Man, I think this Utah team with Cam Rising back is primed to do big things. I gave him the straight dub.
That's right, man. Hey, listen, they lost a couple of people, one of those great tight ends, but they got one coming back, and then they added Michael Pittman Jr., the wide receiver, so you might be right. Weber State, that's a win.
Win.
UCLA is going to be must-see TV. That's a half.
Half.
They travel to Oregon State. That's a half.
I gave them the win.
They get off. They're on an off week, and then they play California at home. That's a win.
Win.
Then they travel to Southern Cal. Southern Cal's looking for that get back. That's a half.
Half.
They get Oregon at home. Going to be another. Listen, man, Utah, out of all the teams, has to play all the what I consider the Pac-12 title contenders. They get Oregon. That's a half.
Half.
So Arizona State at home. That's a win.
Win.
They play another one of those Pac-12 contenders at Washington. Half.
Half.
At Arizona, win.
Win.
And then finish the season at versus Colorado at home. I got that as a straight up win. Listen, I said it before. UCLA, USC, Utah, Washington, and Oregon, all to me, have a chance to win the Pac-12. Utah has to play all of the other ones. Everybody else, they at least get one of them off. So I got them at 9 wins.
And I had them at 9.5.
All right, what does Vegas say?
8.5.
Vegas probably.
So looking at what I said, you're probably right with the half against Oklahoma or against Baylor, and then just going from there. Probably another one here or there that we gave a straight win. Maybe that Colorado is a coin flip or something like that.
Okay. All right. So Washington, Boise State at home. I got this as a half.
Dub.
All right. Tulsa, I got that as a win.
Win.
They travel to Michigan State. Hey, man, they can at least tell UCLA and USC what it's like going to the Big Ten. So, but I think this is a win. I don't think Mel Tucker will be able to handle that offense.
Hey, look, man, Michael Penix Jr. has put up highlights in the Big Ten country before Indiana. It's a coming home party for him. He's going to style out against Mel Tucker. Win.
There it is. Okay. Got California at home. That's a win.
Win.
At Arizona, win.
Win.
They got an off week, and then they got Oregon at home. That's a half.
Half.
And then they got Arizona State at home. That's a win.
Win.
At Stanford is a win.
Win.
Man, at USC, like I said before, it's gonna be some fireworks in that game. I got that as a half.
Half.
Then they got Utah at home. That's a half.
Half.
They got at Oregon State. That's a half.
I gave them the win there.
And then Washington State at home in the Apple Cup, correct?
Correct.
I got them at a straight up win. I just think they're the better team and they playing at home.
I got them as a half.
All right. So I got Washington at 9.5.
And I have them at 10.
What does Vegas say?
Vegas has them at 9. Vegas has them as the second highest in the Pac-12 behind Oregon and USC.
There it is. All right. We'll finish up the Pac-12. We got Washington State. Washington State, I got Colorado State as a win.
Win.
They got Wisconsin coming in. I got this as a half.
That game's at home. It's at Washington State. Brutal place to go. Give me the dub.
Yeah, they got to be able to stop that running game. We'll see. Northern Colorado, I got that as a win.
Win.
Oregon State, I got this as a half.
I also had that as a half.
Then they get an off week, and then week 6 they go to UCLA. That's a half.
I had them as a loss there.
And then Arizona at home, that's a half.
Win.
At Oregon, I got that as a straight up loss.
Loss.
At Arizona State, half.
I gave them the win.
Stanford at home, half.
I gave them the win.
At Cal, half.
Gave them the win.
Colorado at home, half.
Gave them the win.
And then at Washington, I gave them a straight up loss.
And I gave them a half.
What's crazy is I only gave Washington State 2 straight up losses, but I don't think they're good enough to just call a lot of straight up victories as well. So I got them at 6 total wins.
And Washington State fans, just so you know, whether good or bad, the stat guy's all over you this year. Don't worry about what happened to the teams I was all over last year. That's in the past. I'm much better in a clear mind space this year. But I got them finishing at 9 wins. Vegas does agree with you, and they're at 6.5.
Disclaimer. When stat guy gets on your bandwagon, that's not very good for you unless
Washington State fans, don't watch Kansas videos last year.
That's right. Hey, man, that's the Pac-12 for you, man. We got the win totals. We're going to keep this thing rolling on the next video, man. But for now, that's the Pac-12. I'm Coach I. That's the stat guy. Hey, man, it's just college football talk. Don't take it seriously. All right, we're out of here.
Peace.
We got it jumping like it's that valley. I call my dogs out the pound, let's go eat. Turn on the fan at it, let's have a debate. Who really hold down the Southeast from state to state? What team hungry gonna eat everything up off they plate?